The Amazon rainforest is a marvel of nature. It stretches across 9 countries in South America. This vast expanse of green covers over 5.5 million square kilometers. That's about the size of the entire United States. The Amazon is often called the lungs of the earth because it produces 20% of the world's oxygen. It's a place of wonder, teeming with life in all forms. The Amazon is home to an incredible diversity of plants and animals. Scientists estimate that it contains about 10% of all known species on Earth. Many of these are found nowhere else in the world. The forest is so dense and vast that new species are still being discovered. Every year, researchers find plants and animals previously unknown to science. It's a reminder of how much we still have to learn about this amazing place. The importance of the Amazon goes beyond its biodiversity. It plays a crucial role in regulating the Earth's climate. The trees of the Amazon absorb enormous amounts of carbon dioxide. This helps to slow down global warming. The forest also creates its own weather systems. It releases water vapor into the atmosphere, forming rain clouds. These clouds then travel across South America, bringing rainfall to distant regions. But the Amazon is more than just trees and animals. It's also home to millions of people. Indigenous tribes have lived in harmony with the forest for thousands of years. They have developed unique cultures and ways of life. These communities hold valuable knowledge about the forest and its resources. Their traditional practices often help to preserve the delicate balance of the ecosystem. As we explore the wonders of the Amazon, we must remember that it's not just a natural resource, but a home to many.
Step into the Amazon, and you're entering a world of plants unlike any other. The forest floor is a carpet of ferns, mosses, and small flowering plants. Look up, and you'll see a canopy of leaves stretching as far as the eye can see. The Amazon is home to an estimated 40,000 plant species. That's more than any other ecosystem on Earth. From tiny orchids to towering trees, the diversity is staggering. One of the most iconic plants of the Amazon is the giant water lily. These massive floating leaves can grow up to 3 meters in diameter. They're strong enough to support the weight of a small child. At night, the lilies produce beautiful white flowers that turn pink by morning. Another fascinating plant is the Brazil nut tree. These giants can live for over 500 years and grow up to 50 meters tall. Their nuts are an important food source for both animals and humans. The Amazon is also home to many plants with medicinal properties. Indigenous people have used these plants for centuries to treat various ailments. One example is the cinchona tree, which produces quinine. This compound is used to treat malaria. Another is the coca plant, which has been used traditionally for its stimulant and pain-relieving properties. Many modern medicines have their roots in Amazonian plants, but the botanical wonders of the Amazon go beyond individual species. The forest as a whole is a complex web of interactions. Vines and epiphytes grow on larger trees, creating habitats for insects and small animals. Fallen leaves decompose quickly in the humid environment, recycling nutrients back into the soil. Even the air is filled with plant life. Tiny spores and seeds float on the breeze, ready to sprout wherever they land. It's a never-ending cycle of growth and renewal that makes the Amazon a true botanical paradise.
The Amazon is a haven for wildlife, hosting an incredible array of species. From tiny insects to large mammals, the forest is alive with movement and sound. Let's start small with the insects. The Amazon is home to millions of insect species. Many are still unknown to science. Colorful butterflies flit between flowers, while leafcutter ants march in long lines, carrying bits of leaves back to their nests. These tiny creatures play crucial roles in the ecosystem, pollinating plants and recycling nutrients. Moving up in size, we find the amphibians and reptiles. The poison dart frog is one of the most striking. These small frogs come in bright colors, a warning to predators of their toxic skin. Anacondas, some of the largest snakes in the world, slither through the waters and forests. They can grow up to 9 meters long. Caimans, relatives of alligators, bask on riverbanks, their eyes just visible above the water's surface. Birds are perhaps the most visible and vocal of the Amazon's wildlife. The forest rings with their calls from dawn to dusk. Toucans, with their oversized, colorful beaks, are among the most recognizable. Macaws add splashes of bright red, blue, and yellow to the green canopy. The harpy eagle, one of the largest and most powerful birds of prey, hunts monkeys and sloths in the treetops. On the forest floor, the hoatzin, also known as the stink bird, stumbles about awkwardly. It's known for its unusual digestive system, more like a cow's than a bird's. Mammals, too, abound in the Amazon. Monkeys chatter and swing through the trees, from tiny marmosets to howler monkeys whose calls can be heard for miles. Sloths move slowly through the canopy, their fur often hosting a miniature ecosystem of algae and insects. Jaguars, the apex predators of the Amazon, prowl through the undergrowth and swim in rivers. Pink river dolphins, unique to the Amazon and Orinoco river systems, play in the murky waters. Each of these animals has adapted in fascinating ways to life in the rainforest, creating a rich tapestry of wildlife that continues to amaze scientists and nature lovers alike.
The Amazon River and its tributaries are the lifeblood of the rainforest. This vast network of waterways stretches for over 6,600 kilometers. It carries 1/5 of all the freshwater on Earth. The river begins as a trickle high in the Andes Mountains. It grows as it flows eastward, fed by countless smaller streams and rivers. By the time it reaches the Atlantic Ocean, it's so wide that in some places you can't see the opposite bank. The Amazon River is home to an incredible diversity of life. Over 3,000 species of fish swim in its waters. That's more than in the entire Atlantic Ocean. One of the most famous is the piranha. Despite their fearsome reputation, piranhas are usually shy and only attack in large groups when food is scarce. Another fascinating creature is the electric eel. It can generate electric shocks of up to 860 volts, enough to stun a horse. The rivers of the Amazon play a crucial role in the forest's ecology. During the rainy season, they overflow their banks, flooding large areas of the forest. This flood brings nutrients to the soil, helping plants to grow. It also allows fish to access new feeding and breeding grounds. When the waters recede, they leave behind fertile soil and small lakes teeming with life. This annual cycle of flooding and receding shapes the entire ecosystem. But the Amazon's rivers are more than just habitat for fish and other aquatic life. They're also vital transportation routes for both animals and humans. River dolphins and manatees navigate the waterways, while birds like the kingfisher dive for fish from overhanging branches. For the people of the Amazon, the rivers are highways. Boats are often the only way to travel between communities or to reach larger cities. The rivers connect the forest, allowing the flow of not just water but life itself throughout the Amazon basin.
Section 5. Indigenous Cultures, Guardians of the Forest. The Amazon is not just a wilderness, it's home to millions of people. Many of these are indigenous tribes who have lived in the forest for thousands of years. There are over 350 different indigenous groups in the Amazon, each with its own language, customs, and way of life. These cultures have developed deep connections with the forest, learning to live in harmony with their environment. Indigenous peoples of the Amazon have a wealth of knowledge about the forest. They know which plants can be used for food or medicine and which are poisonous. They understand the behavior of animals and the cycles of nature. This knowledge has been passed down through generations, often through oral traditions and practical teachings. Many scientists now recognize the value of this traditional ecological knowledge in understanding and preserving the Amazon. The relationship between indigenous peoples and the forest goes beyond just using its resources. Many tribes see the forest as a living entity, deserving of respect and protection. Their spiritual beliefs often involve nature spirits or deities associated with different plants and animals. These beliefs help to reinforce sustainable practices. For example, some tribes have taboos against overhunting certain species or cutting down specific trees. However, indigenous cultures in the Amazon face many challenges today. Deforestation, mining, and other development projects threaten their lands and way of life. Many young people are leaving their communities for cities, leading to a loss of traditional knowledge. Despite these challenges, many indigenous groups are actively fighting to protect their rights and their forests. They're using a combination of traditional practices and modern technology to map their territories, monitor deforestation, and advocate for their rights. In doing so, They're not just preserving their own cultures, but also playing a crucial role in protecting the Amazon for all of humanity.
Section 6. Threats to the Amazon's future. Despite its immense importance, the Amazon rainforest faces severe threats. The most pressing of these is deforestation. Every year, thousands of square kilometers of forest are cleared for agriculture, cattle ranching, and logging. This destruction happens at an alarming rate. In some years, an area of forest the size of a football field is lost every second. The loss of trees not only destroys habitats, but also releases stored carbon into the atmosphere, contributing to climate change. Climate change itself poses another threat to the Amazon. Rising temperatures and changing rainfall patterns can stress the forest ecosystem. Some areas are experiencing more frequent and severe droughts. This can lead to forest fires, which are becoming more common in the Amazon. As the forest becomes drier, it becomes more vulnerable to burning. This creates a dangerous feedback loop. More fires lead to more deforestation, which in turn leads to more climate change. Mining and oil extraction also threaten the Amazon. These activities often involve clearing large areas of forest. They can also lead to pollution of rivers and soil. Mercury used in gold mining, for example, contaminates water sources and can be toxic to both wildlife and humans. Large-scale infrastructure projects, such as dams and highways, fragment the forest. This makes it harder for animals to move around and can isolate plant populations. The threats to the Amazon don't just affect plants and animals, they also impact the people who call the forest home. Indigenous communities often face pressure from illegal loggers and miners encroaching on their lands. The loss of forest reduces the resources they depend on for food, medicine, and their way of life. Urban expansion into the forest brings new diseases and social problems. As the Amazon changes, so too do the lives of its human inhabitants. The future of the Amazon is closely tied to the future of its people, making the protection of both the forest and its communities a crucial challenge for our time. Section 7. Conservation efforts, protecting a natural treasure. In the face of these threats, numerous efforts are underway to protect the Amazon. Conservation organizations, governments, and local communities are all working to preserve this vital ecosystem. One important strategy is the creation of protected areas. These are regions where development is restricted to preserve natural habitats. Brazil, which contains the largest portion of the Amazon, has established many such areas. These range from strict nature reserves to areas where sustainable use of resources is allowed. Another key approach is supporting sustainable livelihoods for local communities. This can include ecotourism, harvesting of non-timber forest products like Brazil nuts, and sustainable agriculture practices. The idea is that if people can make a living from an intact forest, they'll have an incentive to protect it. Many projects are working with indigenous communities to combine traditional knowledge with modern conservation techniques. This approach recognizes that local people are often the best guardians of the forest. Technology is playing an increasingly important role in Amazon conservation. Satellite imagery allows researchers to monitor deforestation in real time. Drones are being used to survey wildlife populations and detect illegal activities. DNA analysis is helping to track the trade in endangered species. Some projects are even using artificial intelligence to predict where deforestation is likely to occur next, allowing for preventive measures. International cooperation is crucial for protecting the Amazon, as the forest spans multiple countries. Agreements like the Amazon Cooperation Treaty Organization aim to promote sustainable development across the region. Global initiatives like REDD+, reducing emissions from deforestation and forest degradation, provide financial incentives for developing countries to reduce forest loss. However, conservation efforts often face challenges from competing economic interests and changing political landscapes. Despite these obstacles, the work continues, driven by the recognition that the Amazon is too important to lose.
Section 8. Sustainable development in the Amazon. The challenge of preserving the Amazon while supporting the needs of its human inhabitants has led to a focus on sustainable development. This approach aims to balance environmental protection with economic growth and social well-being. One key aspect of this is sustainable agriculture. Traditional slash and burn farming, while effective in the short term, can lead to soil degradation and forest loss. New techniques, such as agroforestry, combine crops with native tree species. This helps to maintain soil fertility and biodiversity while providing income for farmers. Sustainable forestry is another important area. Instead of clear-cutting large areas, selective logging targets specific trees. This allows the forest to regenerate naturally. Certification systems like the Forest Stewardship Council (FSC) help ensure that timber is harvested responsibly. Some communities are also exploring non-timber forest products. These include fruits, nuts, rubber and medicinal plants that can be harvested without cutting down trees. These products can provide income while keeping the forest intact. Ecotourism is growing as a sustainable development option in the Amazon. When done responsibly, it can provide jobs and income for local communities while incentivizing forest conservation. Many eco-lodges and tour operators work closely with indigenous communities. This allows visitors to learn about traditional cultures while ensuring that tourism benefits local people. Some projects go further, training local people as guides and involving them in conservation research. Sustainable urban development is also crucial, as many Amazonian cities are growing rapidly. This involves improving waste management, promoting green spaces, and developing sustainable transportation options. Some cities are experimenting with forest-friendly urban planning. This includes creating wildlife corridors through urban areas and using native plants in landscaping. The goal is to create cities that coexist with the forest rather than replacing it. While challenges remain, these various approaches to sustainable development offer hope for a future where the Amazon's natural wealth can be preserved while supporting the needs of its human inhabitants.
Section 9. The Amazon's global impact. The importance of the Amazon extends far beyond its boundaries. This vast forest plays a crucial role in regulating the Earth's climate. The trees of the Amazon absorb enormous amounts of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. They store this carbon in their trunks, branches, and roots. This process helps to slow the pace of global warming. Scientists estimate that the Amazon stores about 100 billion tons of carbon. That's more than 10 times the amount humans release into the atmosphere each year through fossil fuel use. The Amazon also has a significant impact on global weather patterns. The forest releases vast amounts of water vapor into the atmosphere. This creates flying rivers, streams of moisture that travel through the air. These flying rivers bring rainfall to areas far from the Amazon itself. They influence weather patterns across South America and beyond. Some research suggests that Amazon moisture even reaches parts of North America and Europe. This shows how the health of the Amazon can affect climate and agriculture around the world. The Amazon's biodiversity also has global importance. Many of our medicines come from rainforest plants. The rosy periwinkle, for example, is used to treat certain types of cancer. Scientists believe that many more potential medicines are yet to be discovered in the Amazon. The forest's genetic diversity is also a valuable resource for developing new crops. Wild relatives of important food plants, like tomatoes and potatoes, grow in the Amazon. These could be crucial for breeding more resilient varieties as our climate changes. The Amazon also serves as a living laboratory for scientists.